My uncle owned an old, massive warehouse at the edge of our village. Since childhood, everyone was warned to stay away from it. "It's just scrap and old tools," my uncle always said. But at night, strange noises echoed from that place. One day, my uncle was hospitalized and left the warehouse key with me. The moment I unlocked the door, a wave of cold air rushed out. The smell of rust, dust, and rotten wood filled my lungs. When the door slammed shut behind me, my heart skipped a beat. In that silence, I felt it. Something was aware of my presence.
Inside were broken crates and twisted metal, but what caught my attention were strange symbols carved into the walls. They didn't look decorative, they looked like warnings. Suddenly, I heard slow footsteps above me. I froze. I didn't even know the warehouse had a second floor. I looked up the old staircase. No one was there, but the dust on the steps showed fresh footprints. My chest tightened. I wasn't alone. The air felt heavier, as if the warehouse itself was breathing.
As I moved deeper inside, I found a locked iron door at the back. Something scratched from the other side, slow, deliberate. A low whisper escaped through the cracks, calling my name. I had never told anyone I was coming here. Suddenly, the lights flickered on by themselves. Shadows stretched unnaturally across the walls, moving independently. The symbols on the walls seemed darker now, almost wet. I realized they weren't just symbols, they were seals. The iron door began to shake. Memories flooded back, stories my uncle told while drunk about keeping it contained. My hands trembled as the whispers grew louder, angrier. Whatever was inside knew I had the key. A loud bang echoed through the warehouse. Crates fell. The footsteps returned, running this time, circling me. I screamed, but the sound felt swallowed by the walls. The warehouse didn't want me to leave. The iron door cracked open just enough for darkness to spill out. Not shadows, something thicker. It breathed. It waited. In that moment, I understood. The warehouse wasn't built to store things. It was built to imprison something. The door behind me unlocked by itself. As I ran out into the night, I heard the iron door slam shut again. Later, my uncle disappeared from the hospital. The warehouse still stands, and sometimes I hear knocking from inside, asking to be let out. Days passed, but the warehouse never left my mind. Every night I dreamed of iron doors and whispering voices. Then, one evening, I found mud footprints leading from the warehouse straight to my house. They stopped at my bedroom window. I confronted my uncle's neighbors. An old man finally spoke the truth. Decades ago, people went missing near the warehouse. My uncle was the last one who survived, and he was never the same afterward. I returned to the warehouse during daylight, hoping fear would fade in the sun. It didn't. The symbols on the walls were scratched deeper now, as if something inside was trying to erase them from the other side. In a forgotten corner, I found an old notebook wrapped in cloth. It belonged to my uncle. The last page read, "If the door opens again, it will choose a new keeper." That night, the knocking started at my door. Slow, patient, just like the scratching behind the iron door. I didn't open it. The knocking moved from my door to my walls to inside my head. I woke up standing outside the warehouse without remembering how I got there. The key was in my hand again. The door was already open. Something inside was waiting calmly, as if it knew I would return. The iron door was gone. In its place stood a dark, empty space that felt endless. The whispers stopped. Silence replaced them, worse than the noise. Silence meant it was listening. A voice spoke clearly for the first time. "Your uncle is free now." I understood. He hadn't escaped. He had been released. The warehouse trembled. The symbols burned into the walls, sealing themselves again, but not around the creature, around me. I realized too late the prison wasn't the building, it was the keeper. By morning, the warehouse looked normal again. People say I still live nearby, quiet and distant. But sometimes, when the wind is right, you can hear me knocking from inside, asking someone else to take the key.
I couldn't sleep. Every corner of my room seemed to breathe. Shadows stretched unnaturally, and the key to the warehouse burned in my pocket as if alive. It whispered to me, "Come, or someone else will." I had no choice. That night, I returned to the warehouse. The doors were back, forged in black iron, taller than before. Inside, the air was thick, smelling of rust and old wood. The walls were covered in fresh symbols, glowing faintly under the moonlight. I could feel something watching. I stepped deeper inside. The floorboards groaned under my weight. Shadows moved independently of the light, crawling along the walls and ceiling. Whispers echoed in a language I could almost understand, a mixture of commands and promises. I realized I wasn't just visiting the warehouse. I was becoming part of it. In the farthest corner, I found a mirror. My reflection wasn't mine. It was twisted, pale, and smiling. Behind me, a shadowy figure mimicked my every move, but with a grotesque delay. "You will keep the warehouse," it hissed, voice like cracking ice. I ran, but every exit led back inside. The whispers became louder, chanting my name over and over. My heartbeat matched their rhythm. I tried to throw the key away, but it returned to my hand, glowing hotter with each attempt. Something was binding me here, not the warehouse, not the building itself, but the key, the choice, and me. I stumbled upon my uncle's old notes. They spoke of a curse tied to the warehouse. Each keeper became both prisoner and warden, forced to trap shadows inside, while the building waited patiently for the next victim. The key was the gateway, and the keeper the anchor. A door appeared where no door had been before. I opened it. Endless darkness greeted me, but I could hear faint scratching sounds, almost like claws against stone. Something moved inside, circling, patient, waiting for the keeper to falter. I understood then. The warehouse was a living prison. Time warped inside. Hours felt like days. I saw fleeting visions, my uncle screaming silently, shadows devouring a man, a woman crying with her hands tied to a post. They weren't real, or maybe they were warnings. I couldn't tell. All I knew was that the warehouse wanted me to understand fear completely. I tried to leave. Every path led back inside. The key pulsed in my hand, commanding me to continue, to explore, to face the shadows. I realized I had no control. I was no longer a visitor. I was part of the warehouse now. My uncle's fate was mine, and the key's hunger would never end. By sunrise, I was still inside, staring at the empty doorway that had brought me here. Outside, the town went about its day, unaware of the darkness waiting in plain sight. The warehouse stood silent again, patient, eternal, and I, its new keeper, waited for the next curious soul to open the door.